Good morning, everybody. It's Jim Feist and Hank Goldberg from Las Vegas. Big weekend this past week, and of course, we're looking forward to what they call dress rehearsal in the NFL coming up this weekend. And of course, baseball is red hot. Yesterday, two teams that you could call pretenders in Seattle and Oakland playing at home in position to make a move. They both stubbed their toe badly. Hank, what do you think about those games?
Well, about Seattle stubbing their toe against Verlander, that's not exactly something that was totally unexpected. You've got Oakland probably losing a game after a long run. So that just shows that the pennant race is on.
Well, it is on, but when that game started with Verlander, who has not been pitching very well lately, and Oakland takes the 2-0 lead, and you would think that was a big moment for both those home teams to say, hey, we're really contenders. We can make a difference. We can get there. And they just didn't live up to it. And that's what happens when you got teams that, I'm not going to call them pretenders because they've really played well for a long time. But these other guys that they lost to, the Dodgers beating Seattle 12-1, embarrassing moment. Oakland 2-0 lead and then get outscored 9-2 the rest of the way with Sean Manaea on the field and Verlander pitching marginally early, and they lose 9-4. So there's two big losses for teams that have been playing pretty well, especially Oakland. And Houston came out.
What was the price on that game with Verlander pitching?
169, 165, something like that.
I mean, why are you shocked?
Well, I'm shocked because he hasn't been pitching well. He's been really, in the second half of the season, he's been very marginal. And Manaea has actually been out.
He didn't pitch great, but he pitched well enough to win. He's their ace, and he went in there and they won a game that they were expected to win. And, you expect them to lose every game?
Well,
they have not played well, and they're in a pennant race, and they're no longer considered a cinch. And if you had to bet that game in advance, which game without knowing the result, which side would you have taken?
Definitely Oakland, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Really?
Yes. I mean, when I have made a lot of money betting on Verlander the last 2 years. But when you look at his recent performance, he goes at home against Seattle. He went 2 innings, gave up 7 hits, 6 earned runs. The next game out, he pitched pretty well. He pitched very well against Colorado in a loss, 5-1. It was no disrespect there. And then yesterday he went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 1 base on balls, and gave up 4 earned runs. That is not a quality performance. Manaea coming into the game, when you look just at, and who's the hottest team at that point? It was definitely Oakland. Manaea came into that game in the previous, 13, 15, 20 innings, he had given up 7 earned runs. So, you're actually 27 innings, he gave up 5 earned runs. Outpitching them totally, 386 earned run, well, a .98 whip. This was a game where it was a big game for Oakland, and they jump out to a 2-0 lead and then just crashed. And to me, that shows, maybe we're not quite ready.
To me, that doesn't show that. Oakland has been playing tremendous ball. They've come from way back. They're playing the best ball of anybody in the league right now. And you got going up against a guy who was going for his 200th win. That didn't surprise me so much that they would get a win in this spot. And I think that this is just the ongoing pennant race. That it's going to happen. Then the Dodgers The Dodgers getting a win in that spot. I like the Dodgers in that game yesterday. They're starting to hit the ball a little bit, and I didn't play the Houston game, but I did play the Dodgers yesterday, and they came through with a nice victory.
Well, they won that game 12-1. The previous game they had a tough game and lost to Seattle 4-5, but the previous game they won 11-1. So, they are starting to hit the ball, and their bullpen has had really a lot of difficulty. But when you look at it, in the last 5 games, they've only once given up more than 3 runs, and that was in the 4-5 loss to Seattle on the 18th. So even though, and of course they got a guy going today that just hasn't been giving up any runs, and that's in Wood. He's been absolutely incredible when he's pitched and been feeling well. He has been absolutely incredible. So he's a difficult out. The Dodgers, of course, and Houston are the class of the league. They were there last year, and they both fought for the championship. And it's a big, it's when you're there and you can step up in those big games, that shows you who you are. I was very impressed with both Houston and the Dodgers yesterday in how they performed. I was not that impressed with Oakland and the way they gave it up. That's just my opinion. Like you said, they're the hottest team in baseball coming in, and I think they marginalized themselves. They're going to have to bounce back, and that's going to be big. They're going to have to bounce back today and put on another run if they want to keep up with Houston, who's going to be tough down the stretch. So there's some great pennant races out there. Of course, Boston continues. They lost yesterday to Tampa. Tampa's amazing. They got a winning record this year, and nobody really expected them to do that. And that starting the bullpen pitchers and everything is not something that most people can do, but they were forced into it. They just don't have starters. And
I'll tell you what's kind of a surprising factor is the way that the Phillies have so much trouble with the Mets.
Oh, yeah.
If it wasn't for that, the Phillies would be doing a lot better.
Oh, no question. I mean, if the Phillies miss the playoffs, it's going to be because they can't beat the Mets. That's for sure. Now, you talk about the Mets today. They've got a guy going today, Wheeler, and he has been absolutely incredible lately for the Mets. I believe he's won 7 straight games for the in his starts. I'm not looking that up right now. Wheeler. Yeah, he's going up against Holland. San Francisco has not been playing well. Yeah, Wheeler has won 7 straight wins, and he has been pitching extremely well. And
something, the Mets pitching staff is very good, very strong, and that bodes well for their future. That if they can get somebody in their front office who can assemble some players that just not that many positions, they're going to be a big factor in the future if they can hold that pitching staff together. Their pitching staff is as strong as anybody's.
Absolutely.
And they just need to get some help in their starting lineup.
Absolutely.
Which is not that hard to do.
Well, they got to, like you said, though, and I think the key phrase there is they got to hold on to those pitchers. And there was a note that Seattle tried to get switching over to football, because we do that on this thing. The Colts held on to Brissett, even though Seattle went after him. They wanted to get Brissett up there in Seattle, but the Colts said, no way, we're going to keep him. Of course, maybe they're holding out for a bigger offer. And then, of course, what's going on in New York with the Jets, with those 3 quarterbacks? You would think somebody has to go.
Well, there's a big conversation about that, in that who's going to go. And right now, who's going to start the season off? Whether they're going to start the season with the rookie, or whether they're going to start the season with the veteran who has looked so good, and who they're going to trade. And it's a big conversation that's going on right now. If you're coaching that team, it's a big risk to go with the rookie, and if he doesn't go well, what do you do? Whereas if you keep him on the bench for a while, and you start with your veteran who has been a starter in the league and a successful starter in the league, and let the rookie sit and learn for a while. And then if something happens and you don't start off with a winning record, then you make the move with the rookie, and it doesn't jeopardize your coaching position. It's a kind of an awkward position to be in. We had this conversation on Friday, but the better quarterback so far, without question, has been the guy who came from Minnesota.
Hank, you and I have been around football. Excellent points you made there. We've been around football a long time. And, on the offense, we always used to say years ago, offensive line, good running back, quality quarterback. Then the league started to change, and they wanted to score more points, so they went more to a passing game, forgetting about the running backs. And the offensive line took a beating, too, because they pay so much money out of the cap space to the quarterback. However, the quarterback's no good on his back, and he's no good if he's in a hospital bed or standing on crutches on the sideline. So you start a guy like Sam Darnold, and their offensive line for the Jets is not good. It is not a good offensive line. And if that holds up that way, he's going to get pounded. He doesn't have the experience. He doesn't play at the speed in college that you do in the pros, and you're not playing against the 2s and the 3s when you're in the NFL regular season. You're playing against the 1s, and they're going to blitz, and they're going to find ways to get to him, and he's not going to be able to handle it. And the potential of getting hurt is also there. So now you have McCown, who played under those conditions last year and led them to a pretty good season, and you got Bridgewater, who 2 years ago, they were almost going to amputate his leg. That's how bad that injury was. And it's amazing, and I'm thankful for that he came back and he's been able to play well. But if you have a bad offensive line, and you got a guy that was subject to a terrible injury 2 years ago with Minnesota, and you have a kid coming in out of college who doesn't know the speed of the game, I start McCown and let Bridgewater go, try to bring in some offensive line help, and let Darnold watch a few games and then take over. You know he's the future, but I don't understand why you put the kid in there to start the season with that offensive line. It is not a good offensive line.
I would keep Bridgewater in there and let Bridgewater, who I think is the better of the three quarterbacks right now, for this simple reason. If you get off to a decent start with Bridgewater and you let the kid sit for a while, and Bridgewater plays the way he's played in preseason, he's got more value to him after 3 or 4 weeks when some quarterback goes down. They can get more at that point.
Well, there's no question about that. There's always risk factors, but we have different opinions. I'd let McCown start, keep Darnold, and trade Bridgewater for try to get some offensive line help.
My point is that you get more for Bridgewater if you let him start the season and somebody's quarterback gets hurt. And then you can get a lot for him, as opposed to now when his value is not as great.
I saw an article this morning that Blake Bortles is not dependable, and there's a lot of thinking that he's going to hold that team back, and why not trade for Bridgewater now and bring him in to Jacksonville? I mean, they have an incredible defense, and they can run the ball, and they have good coaching, good general manager, front office. This team is ready to go, but Bortles makes a lot of very silly mistakes, as he did last week, and he did all last year. But he has his moments. He has talent, but it's just not consistent enough. So the article I was reading is, why not bring Bridgewater in and let him eventually take over in Jacksonville once Bortles messes up, and he usually does. But then maybe that would light a fire under him, just like Jackson lit a fire under Flacco in Baltimore, who's played very well. So just different thoughts out there. Not necessarily, I'm just a messenger. I'm just not something I came up with. I read it by another sports writer.
Well, you have to think about who Coughlin's type of quarterback is.
Yes, and how does Bridgewater fit into that mold? Does he fit into that mold?
I don't think he does.
Okay. You see anything this coming weekend that's interesting with regards to, this is called dress rehearsal week, and a lot of people play, a lot of players play a lot more minutes from the starters.
Well, I think that's what's interesting is that what Belichick did with Brady and how he played a half in the week before the dress rehearsal week. And maybe Brady has had his dress rehearsal already. You may look to see what New England does this week. Other than that, everybody else has their dress rehearsal. Leave it to Belichick to break the mode. But the Travers lost one of their horses. A horse that I liked has a fever, but that's a big horse racing event. Excuse me, but that's the big racing event this week at Saratoga. We did give out the exacta. It didn't pay very much in the, but the horse that figured to win won the Pacific Classic with ease, and he becomes the early favorite for the Breeders' Cup. That was an awesome performance.
Yeah, he was amazing. Yeah.
And he won by about 12 lengths. The exacta only paid about $5 for a dollar. So we're not going to brag about picking that.
It's a winner is a winner, right?
Yep. But they had a big day at Del Mar, and they had a good card of racing there. And I don't know, they've got another month of racing there. I don't know what they do for an encore.
Yeah, that's hard to follow up on that one because that was pretty impressive. But we got two big going back to baseball. We got the two division leaders in Cleveland and Boston going at it today. Kluber against Porcello, and Boston got shut down yesterday by Tampa. That was interesting, and there's it's a great time. A lot of analysis, a lot of conversation, a lot of reading, a lot of studying. A couple of weeks, the big contest in Las Vegas will be starting up. Like I said before on here, you did very well in the contest last year.
They've got over 4,000 entries in the big handicapping contest at Westgate so far.
Already? Over 4,000?
Yeah.
No kidding.
They're going to have over 4,000. Also, they've got their winner-take-all contest, which last year only had about 100 entries, and they're going to have quite a bit more. I was over the other day and talking with Jay, who runs that book, and it's amazing that that winner-take-all contest is taken off too. So they never stop growing, all these things. And you also have the growth of these sports books. The New Jersey outfit opened 3 offices, one in Las Vegas, and you have the the sports book at the Westgate. The Superbook is now going national, and is going to be a brand unto itself, breaking off from Westgate.
Wow. Wow.
And they're going to go into competition with a lot of these other betting operations. So, the explosion is occurring.
It definitely is. I mean, I think it's actually going faster than a lot of us thought it would. It could be big. I mean, the numbers are great. It's exciting. It's I'm really happy it's finally come. We've been pushing for it for a long time, and now it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I mean, if you go to England and you hang out over there for a while and you see a sports book on every corner, and it's very accepted, we're heading in that direction. It's a good thing. I'm excited.
Well, speaking of England, in-game betting is the new direction. That's what people are looking for. You're going to be able to bet in game, and the numbers will change as the games are going on. Excuse me. It's like talking with the people at Westgate. They had to keep an eye on the golf tournaments and change the odds on as Tiger got hot last week.
Yeah, that was a very impressive, performance by him, and it was good for. I mean, it's great for the TV ratings and the crowds when Tiger's out there. There's no question. And congratulations to Snedeker. He almost had a 58 in round one this past week. He ended up with 59. I can do 59 in probably the first 9 holes, but that was pretty impressive. Golf betting is taking off, and in game, like you said, is you get a team that's it's a favorite, falls behind by 10 points in a football game, and you get a really different price. And if the breaks, if you saw the game and it was just a fluke, you can come in and play that same team at better odds, better price, and sometimes plus money. And you just have to make those decisions very quickly, because you're playing against computers and algorithms that make those numbers. No human being can make those numbers as fast as the computer can. So it's all algorithms that make them. I do it all the time. I like in-game betting. It's big time. So it's exciting, Hank, and congratulations on the weekend. I know the horse racing may not have paid off as much as you want, but you were there, and football, of course. And we got a big week coming up with this dress rehearsal stuff, and then the college football is going to start kicking off. I saw one game I already bet. I bet it's a free play here if somebody wants to follow it. I bet Wyoming in their first game. I like the situation there. But and I'm looking at West Virginia in the SEC to make more of a dent than most people are giving them credit for. So I look for West Virginia, high offense, high scoring team to cause a lot of trouble in their conference this year. Hank, thank you very much for your time, and have a great week. We'll talk again on Wednesday.
Okay. Have a good day.